everybody, I'm in my other office, aka the Austin Princess 1100 I am trying to very slowly do this vehicle up. I do have someone who comes sort of once a month. I just have to raise the money each month to pay him to come, cash, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so far we're kind of recommissioning the engine. There's lots of bodywork to do, but I really want to get the engine running, and then we're going to step onto welding. But that's not why we're here. I'm just explaining my location. I don't have my car. It's been borrowed, as it were. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's emailed. We're going to be focusing on Unreal Milk. It just beggars belief, this does. Thank you to, let me just check my email. I think it was Michelle. Thanks, Michelle, for sending this to me. Oh, Diane. So, Diane, thank you for sending this to me. I think I have got an email from Michelle too. Yeah, you sent me a link. You said you saw this and thought I'd be interested. So yeah, thank you. Scary world we're living in. Yeah. Oh, who'd have thought? I mean, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have thought any of this was likely to be happening. I'm going to read the article. It's not that long ago, March the 25th of this year, 2025. Let's get into this article. So apparently you'll see a little video of it as well coming up. Unreal Boston startup debuts first lab-grown milk. Obviously this is in America, but what is happening in America is very likely going to be happening over here too at some point or other. So Brown Foods grows milk-producing cells in bioreactors to synthesize all components of cow's milk, proteins, fats and carbohydrates. The Whitehead Institute for Biomedical Research claims the product, Unreal Milk, contains all essential proteins, fats and carbohydrates that make up 99% of traditional cow milk. Of course, it was just a matter of time. The laboratory cell-based revolution has already produced chicken, fish and beef substitutes that once cooked up and plated are practically indistinguishable from their live counterparts. In the US, there's been backlash against the idea that a mother of four could one day fill her shopping cart with meat substitutes made from cell cultures. Numerous state legislatures are attempting to restrict or ban the sale of lab-cultured meat. Florida has already succeeded. Also, Alabama, Nebraska could be Nebraska could be next. I'm sure Mississippi is included in this as well. And a slew of states are looking to pass new labelling laws that would require front-of-package language such as cell-cultured or lab-grown. And we're definitely going to see an increase in cultivated meat, because that doesn't sound as bad as lab-grown, but cultivated meat is exactly what a lab-grown meat is. It's one and the same thing. So labelling is incredibly key, because even if this does come to this country, I don't think as consumers that we're going to be really that keen to sort of try it, because quite frankly it's Frankenstein food as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of people feel the same way. Needless to say, the debate over lab-grown meat is contentious. It's about to get even messier. Late last month, Brown Foods announced the creation of what it says is the world's first test tube of lab-grown milk. Yes, lab-grown milk. I imagine the company hopes that Unreal Milk might one day become a viable alternative to not only cow's milk, but also plant-based alternatives such as soya, oat, rice and almond. Unreal Milk's major selling point is that the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's affiliated Whitehead Institute for Biomedical Research claims the product contains all essential proteins, fats and carbohydrates that make up 99% of traditional cow milk. Soy milk comes closest to real milk's nutritional values, but even then it's a poor second. Unreal Milk also can be processed into butter, cheese and ice cream. Brown Foods says the lab-grown milk is a product of mammalian cell culture. Now, I will put the links to this description, this article, and also the mammalian cell culture, because that kind of explains in depth what that is. And I think it simply means the cell culture is from mammals, whereas you get your bacterial cell culture. Either way, it's the explanation of mammalian cell culture is really complex. I mean, it takes a lot to get your head around it. It's it's stem cells effectively. So I'll carry on with the article. It is on a fast track to get the milk to market, looking to bring Unreal Milk to consumers for tasting by late this year, followed by a market pilot in late 2026. So Unreal Milk's coming, it maybe to the American markets, possibly to the British, I don't know. Other lab-cultivated milk companies such as Perfect Day use precision fermentation to sell products approved through the US Food and Drug Administrations or FDA. They're like our FSA, the Food Safety Association, generally recognised as safe regulations. And this is what they do. They term it as food rather than a drug, even though it kind of requires a similar process that you would in a pharmacy in order to create it. So they downgrade its status in order to pass it through these channels. Perfect Day genetically modifies a fungi in a sugar solution to produce beta-lactoglobulin, which is further processed and combined with water and fats to create its milk alternative. Now, I'm sorry, but that absolutely sounds horrific. So Perfect Day, you can shove that where the sun don't shine, because as a consumer, that is absolutely not going to be in my shopping basket. I don't care how cheap you sell it, I would never buy it. Brown Foods grows milk producing cells in bioreactors to synthesize all components of cow's milk. I mean, honestly. Proteins, fats and carbohydrates, and that's the components of cow's milk. If MIT is right, and I think is that the Massachusetts Institute of Technology? I think so. So MIT is, where is it? The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, right? Okay, so that's MIT. If MIT is right, Unreal Milk is identical to milk from cows at a molecular level. But still no, I don't care. Here's the real bad news for the dairy industry. Unlike lab-grown meat that has to date been cost prohibitive to make, and that's a big thing about lab-grown meat, is it is really expensive to make, really expensive, off the scale, and it doesn't look like that cost is going to come down anytime soon. So that's a real negative in that regard to lab-grown meat. Doesn't sound so great for the milk. They can waste their money all they like with this lab-grown milk. I just don't feel that people would drink it. Maybe sheep would, but you know what I mean. But not people that actually are trying to find out. And perhaps that's what they're relying on. They're relying on ignorance. You know what I mean. So where were we? Okay, here's the real bad news for the dairy industry. Unlike lab-grown meat that has to date been cost prohibitive to make, Brown Foods' mammalian cell culture process can be scaled up to produce high volumes of milk for human consumption. Yes, there will be regulatory hurdles with the FDA and the US Department of Agriculture. Given the current federal political climate, it's anyone's guess whether Unreal Milk will be green-lighted anytime soon. Who knows? I'm sure the dairy industry won't be taking any chances. I expect it won't be long until you see a full-scale frontal attack on Unreal Milk from the dairy industry to state and federal lawmakers, and if necessary, the courts. I'm not fully convinced that there is a market for lab culture milk. I don't think there is, especially in this country where milk consumption has literally tanked over recent years. And he's talking about the US. It seems to me that Unreal Milk might appeal to a narrow niche market that objects to traditional milk due to the treatment of cows or the carbon footprint associated with the dairy industry. And they're welcome to it, quite frankly. The niche market won't sustain an industry, basically. Brown Foods estimates that Unreal Milk uses 90% less water, 95% less land, and its carbon footprint is 80% lower than traditional cow's milk. That said, if the FDA deems the Unreal Milk safe for consumption, glasses all around for those who would like to partake. No, thank you. I will put a link in the description to that, and also the what is mammalian cell culture, because but yeah, thank you for that, Diane. Yeah, will we have Unreal Milk on our supermarket shelves by the end of this year. If they, I mean, that's what they're saying for America. I don't know. I maybe in 2026 they might try to, if they are able to sell it in the US, they may move it across to here, or we may have a similar startup company that might try and create something similar in this country, the UK. I just don't think there is a consumer demand for it, and I mean they can spend all the money they like. If no one's going to be buying it, or a very small portion of people are going to be buying it, that's not sustainable for any business. You need to, you know. And I mean, why would anyone want to buy something that was absolutely fake? And long term, if you're drinking something that has been manufactured in a what do you call them, Petri dishes originally. I mean, who wants to drink that with its original source being in a Petri dish? I mean, it just beggars belief. So no, thank you. Right, thank you again, Diane, for that. On to other stuff. Vera emailed me with some good news. If anyone who shops in Lidl, I will put a picture of it up here, but you came across the Lidl Deluxe Clotted Cream. I'm not sure if I realised this. It's on my printables for cream, milk and all that malarkey. I may not have added that, so if you do have those printables, add Cornish Clotted Cream. It is to Trefan dairy, basically. So, you know, especially it's going to be scones. I mean, springtime scones, got to have scone. So your clotted cream in most supermarkets are either Trefan or Rodders, and Lidl is very much the same. So thank you, Vera, for that. Right, I wanted to sort of talk about something else. It's not actually food related, but I got an email from Michelle, and it kind of really resonated, just because this is about vulnerable people with learning disabilities or Down syndrome, and not a lot. I never heard of this, so I think just using the platform to help spread the word I absolutely could not ignore her email. So she said to me, she emailed me. She said, look, she promised not to send anything that wasn't food related in future. Michelle, it's fine. Honestly, I completely. This is important. She said, so instead of killing us through food, they just want to kill us, or they just want the option to become the norm, a slippery slope that will no doubt start with disabled kids and people. Yeah, she's attached a Canada meme as well, and another screenshot. I'll put them up there, because you've said you're a mum of a SEND child, and you've literally just come across this assisted dying bill. I don't know if anyone's heard of this. Let me know in the comments if you had heard of this. I hadn't. I mean, I knew that there was rumblings, to be fair, so maybe that was this. There's an important date that's coming up, which is why Michelle emailed me regarding it, because she's really worried. She's the mum of a SEND child, so I can understand why she would feel like the need to sort of try to shout this from the rooftops. So you see, the National Down Syndrome Policy Group have spoken out on this. She's given me a screenshot that will come up there. You're contacted as many local SEND groups as possible to raise awareness. So anyone who has SEND children who are watching this, click on the link I put in the description, because and write to your MP, because I think the deadline date is the 25th of April. So what are we now? With the 10th of April, and this will go out tonight. So you've written to your MP using the template letter below. So you said you'd written to your MP using the template letter via the Together declaration below. So that link will be in the description as well. So this is an excerpt from the template letter. I'll just read it so that you can kind of get an idea of what's at stake. Of the copious amendments put forward, only one of the 80 plus amendments tabled by concerned MPs has been accepted. This is not only undemocratic, it is discriminatory and unethical. In following the debate on both sides, many campaign groups and the public are rightly asking how Kim, led Leadbeater and other committee MPs supporting the proposed change in the law can continue to claim that the bill offers the strictest safeguards in the world, that they have listened to all voices during the deliberations and provided ample protections for vulnerable groups, when virtually every single one of those safeguards has been removed or watered down, and virtually every opposing voice has been ignored or dismissed, and every amendment designed to protect vulnerable groups has been summarily rejected. That's the excerpt. So you go on to say, in your opinion, it's an incredibly worrying bill for our children. To date, the committee and ministers voted not to require special provision. To date, the committee and ministers voted not to require special provision when raising assisted death with someone with a learning disability or who is autistic, and voted against special provision for those with Down syndrome. As it stands, it's wide open to abuse. Well, that's absolutely horrific. From your wider reading, Michelle, you've said that a similar bill has been abused in Canada, and I've heard of this. If they were the pilot test, I don't like the look of it. Well, that's what you're saying. You don't like the look of it. The third reading of this bill in the UK is the 25th of April 2025, and that's why it's really important. If you can, if any of you've got a spare 5 minutes, if you've got connections, you know someone who's got a SEND child, I think it's, or even if you haven't, just for the love of humanity, let's write to our local MPs. I'm going to use that template and write to mine. I think you have to put your address on the MP letters. They will ignore you if you don't, if it's not, because they will assume you're not local to them. So you said you think it's paramount that SEND parents raise their concerns before this date, ideally before the 22nd of April. So that's 22nd of April, if we can write to our MPs regarding this. So you're asking people to please share with parents, service members and any other SEND groups you may have links with. Lawyers with this issue, I think we have a good chance of overturning the bill on this final reading, which would be historic if enough people contact their MPs. So yeah, I really wanted to bring that forward. I know it's not food related, but it's people related, humans related, and that's our common denominator, isn't it? So, wow, I tell you what, I love the smell of this car. Really, really lovely. The front seats are in the house. I'm gonna restore them. They're completely unsavable in terms of I'm not going to cover them in, because they're leather, but I am going to paint them. I know, sounds crazy. One day, if I can get replacement good quality Austin Princess seats and stuff, I will, but in the meantime, just to kind of help them, yeah, because we've got loads of other stuff to do. It's just something to do while they're in the house. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please, if you keep your emails coming for these subscriber contribution vlogs. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.